Welcome back to Alliance Talks, a series of brief conversations with the industry's top advisors and solutions.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Alliance Talks. I'm Tom Livergood and I'm the founder of the Family Wealth Alliance. We're excited to have a discussion with Gryphon Financial Partners, a firm that's built its reputation on making a difference in the lives of their clients, team members, and their families. With me today is Joe Goff, founder and CEO, Randy Bellner, managing executive, to share more about the work that Gryphon has done to codify their values and how these values are lived out in their teams and their clients. Welcome, Joel, and welcome, Randy.
Thanks.
Great to have you. So I just want to have a conversation and start with you, Joel, as far as the Gryphon doctrine. It's evident that you're very clear on these elements and priority for your firm. So, Joel, if you could just share a bit more about that doctrine and how the values were built.
Yeah, the mission and values really came in about 2018. We had a big firm approach us about buying us. And my co-founder, Kath, and I were both very excited and kind of thrilled that somebody thought we built something of value. And so we spent time, several meetings talking to them. And when we kind of got to the ninth inning, we sat down and we said, geez, I don't know if this is really what we're about. We were kind of late 40s at the time, and certainly the money was attractive. But, we sat down over dinner and said, geez, what are we going to spend the rest of our lives doing if we sell? Because, we can't control the culture. We can't control how clients are treated anymore. And we decided it just wasn't for us. And what we really wanted to do is build something that hopefully outlasts both of us. So we've got a group of 6 of us that have been together for over 25 years. Started back at Morgan Stanley together. We've obviously added team members, but we sat with our core group of kind of 12 people that have been with us for at least 10 years and said, geez, what are we about? What do we love doing? Why do we love doing it? And that's kind of where the mission and values came from. And then the Gryphon doctrine, funny enough, we recruited a team from a wirehouse, and we're, some would say, fanatical about answering the phone. I don't like voicemail. I hate getting stuck in voicemail loops. And I've always said that our clients pay us a lot of money. The least that we can do is pick up the phone and talk to them like human beings. And a phone call went to voicemail. And I got pretty upset with her. And she looked at me and she goes, Joel, I didn't know it meant that much to you. And she goes, what are the 10 commandments of working at Gryphon? What are the things that we just have to do every day that make me a great teammate? And I thought, well, that's a really cool thing to think about. And so again, we sat down as a group and kind of came up with the things that many of us had just internalized because we had done it since we've been building it for 28 years together. And just kind of outlined the principles about how we think we should treat each other, treat our clients, what's important to us. So it's really been a group effort. It hasn't been something that Kathy and I have driven. It's really been our teammates.
That is great. And I love that story, especially, turning down the offer from that third party. What really stood out is the mission and the commitment to make people's lives better across clients, families, teams, and your community. Could you share how the mission shapes and translates the day-to-day interaction with the firm and the clients?
Yeah, I'm hoping it shapes everything we do. About 18 months ago, we went through a little exercise and we gave everybody a few questions at the end of the day to kind of ask yourself so that you can feel like you accomplished something and you did your best today. And the last thing we always put on there is, whose life did you make better today? And for us, if we're constantly, every phone call we get, every interaction we have, if your goal is to make that person's life better, you're going to treat them in a different way, and you're going to be very solutions oriented, and you're going to be driven to make an impact. And it really, it came from, I'll never forget when I was first starting, like all of us, you're driving in the car all the time, going from meeting to meeting and chasing clients. I was listening to Tom Peters, management consultant. He had an old book called In Search of Excellence. And, he had a line in there. He was sitting on the airlines one time, and they opened the door, and the stewardess looked at each other and their flight attendant and said, here come the animals. He goes, I thought about that and thought about Disney. Disney calls you a guest, the airline calls you an animal. And there's a lot of things you can do to an animal you would never do to a guest. And that story's always resonated with us. And so when we came up with kind of what was our passion was making people's lives better, if every day you're trying to make somebody's life better, you're going to treat them like a guest. You're never going to treat them like an animal. And that just is something we drill into our team, that if we always leave that interaction with how did I help that person and how did I make them better because they were with me, we're going to do great things for each other, great things for our families, great things for our clients. And at the end of the day, you're going to feel really good about what you do.
Yeah. Can you share an example that really stands out? I know there are many. Is there one that stands out that where you've made the client's life better?
Yeah, it's easy to talk about, doing the right thing from an investment standpoint or making sure that, they're not worried about their cash flow and the market corrects. I mean, to us, that's kind of table stakes. That's what we all do, and that's what we were
Right.
paid to do. I think the best example is we had an incident this year. A client gave some information to somebody that she probably shouldn't have gave, and her identity was in the process of being stolen. She panicked, and one of our teammates immediately jumped in the car without even asking anybody, telling anybody, drove to the woman's house, got our cybersecurity expert on the phone, and spent the next 4 or 5 hours there with her, helping her on her email, her phone, all her bank accounts. And it was literally, we walked out and we were like, hey, where did Judy go? And they were like, oh, she went to help so and so. And to us, that's the essence of what we really want to do for our clients is if something goes wrong, we want to be the first people you call. And you wouldn't think your identity is as attached to wealth management. But again, if we're going to function and really be that family's personal CFO, we've got to be able to touch their lives in so many different areas. And we just want them to know that we got the resources to help them, no matter what. So I think that's the best example that's kind of what I would call table stakes, investments and cash flow.
And then Joel, you've made such an emphasis on your teammates and your colleagues, and would love to hear an example of how you made a difference with your teammates and their families.
Yeah, again, I'll go to kind of a recent one because I'm getting too old to remember too far back. So it's easy if I go with recent things. But we had a young guy who was just critical to what we do, been with us almost 9 years, phenomenal performer, really the future, one of the guys who's the future of our firm. His wife's pregnant with, they had a little scary moment. Thank God it's turned out fine. But for about 10 days, there was a little bit of it was thin ice, and he got the phone call from his wife, turned to all of us, and said, "I'm out of here. I got to go." And somebody stepped in, took his meetings for him. We canceled his appointments for the week without asking. We told him, look, you have complete freedom, work from home, do what you got to do, take care of your family first. Um, and that really, that's just the culture we want. That when something comes up, and we've had health issues, we've had family issues, we've had all kinds of things over the last 10 years that have come up. And time again, the team steps in and frees that person up so that they can go do what they got to do and take care of, at that moment, something a lot more important than what we deal with day to day.
Yeah, yeah. As they say, Joel, life happens, and I just sense that. And being a founder myself, I relate. Randy, we had talked about your background coming from a big bank, and obviously there's a difference. The culture compared to Gryphon. I'd love to hear some perspective on how you feel Gryphon's culture is different and what really sets the firm apart.
Yeah, Tom. So, what I had found in large organizations, especially when you look at large organizations that have multiple business lines, they may have, a variety of service models. What tends to happen is things like culture and values and purpose, they can get lost in the myriads of reporting structure, leadership changes, whatever the initiative that might be going on for that particular year. So for me, when I was entertaining opportunities and looking at new opportunities, I had really three core decision factors. One was culture, the second was purpose, and the third was role of leadership. And when I look at Gryphon and I compare and contrast, culturally here, we're a firm that's all about It's all client centric. It's all about collaboration, and it's very entrepreneurial. So everybody in this firm has a voice, and that culture is backed up by 9 core values that everybody fully understands and everybody fully executes on. And then when you think about purpose, and Joel was just walking through a fantastic example with Judy and how he got out and got after it for a client, who wouldn't want to be part of a firm that's purpose is to make people's lives better, right? And more importantly, allow the team members the ability to do what they need to do to execute on that day in and day out. And then lastly, for me, the role of leadership. So I've been in a formal leadership role, geez, for embarrassing to admit, 25 plus years now at this point. So for me, it was really, really important to be part of a firm that had a culture where the leaders were, we talk about flipping the pyramid upside down. The leaders are at the bottom of the pyramid at Gryphon. We're here to support the team members. If we support the team members, they're going to take care of our clients, and we're all going to find a way, to make people's lives better. One of my favorite core values of the firm that was difficult to do in my prior organizations is called innovate. And when we talk about innovate, we talk about creating solutions when others see problems. And again, just like the example that Joel just went through, the energy and the way the team collaborates and gets after it and discovers what otherwise could potentially be an unsolved problem is a big differentiator for us. And it's very energizing for all of us at the firm when we think about how we serve our clients.
Another one for you, Randy, as you look to the future for Gryphon and plan to hold the values and further its mission of making people's lives better, can you share where your vision is headed, please?
Yeah, so I'll start with, and I think Joel will agree, culture, and it's a non-negotiable at the firm, right? So, values, culture, values, they guide your behaviors, they guide your decision making, they create clarity and alignment. Ultimately they unify and motivate your team, to serve and take care of your clients. So for us, values are integrated in everything that we do. When you think about the hiring process, when you think about the performance management process, how you reward people, how you recognize people. And look, we're a growing firm. We're adding lots of new team members. We're adding different locations. And I would offer to you that the culture and fit is front and center for every decision that we make. Every quarter we do something called Gryphon Week here. Great week, have a lot of fun. We celebrate together. We have intentional conversations. But Joel also leads a session on the state of the firm. And one of my favorite parts of that meeting is he will, prior to that meeting, offer up 1 or 2 of our values, and various team members will talk about that value, what it means to them, and actually give examples of how they've lived it or how they've seen other team members live it. And I would tell you that's probably one of my favorite parts of the firm update. And another, I think, terrific example is earlier this year, the entire team read a book called The Culture Code. So 3 team members kind of led these ad hoc, call them book club sessions. So small groups, we would all read 3-4 chapters, get together and just talk about that and make the connectivity to Gryphon's culture. And the energy around people seeing the value of culture and how they want to protect the culture that we have was really, really terrific. And I would tell you that book and a few others are core reads for everybody that joins our firm. And candidly, as I recruit and look for new candidates, oftentimes I've given them a copy of that book so they can get a real sense of our culture. So again, as Joel said, we try to connect it to everything we do. I always use the example that I saw right out of the gate when I joined. You're walking by somebody's desk, it's 5 o'clock, you're not saying goodnight, you're saying, what can I do to help you? Right. And that associate that's doing workflow and paperwork to get a new client onboarded, they're not checking a box, they're not doing a task. They're an integral part of a team that's helping make an impact on a client's life. So look, clients honor us by allowing us to serve them. I think you got to have a core culture and value system that allows your team members to do the right things to make their lives better.
Just sitting and listening to you gentlemen and knowing what I know about the firm, it's often said that the employee experience equals the client experience. And I think you're embodying that, but you're also with the overlay of the culture is really the glue and the consistency that keeps us together. So congratulations for putting that together. I've enjoyed this. Thank you very much, Joel and Randy, for joining me. Appreciate your sharing your insights today and really hearing what Gryphon is about and your culture and your values and how you're really standing out in the family office space. So congratulations to you and continued success. And thank you for tuning in for yet another episode of Alliance Talks. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Right. Thanks, Tom.